Welcome back to part 2 of my Kerbal Space Program career tutorial. This is Brendan the Kerbal Man. We are playing in the new 1.1 version, which just came out today, and we are going to be going through some new skills that we can use to help us be better pilots, and to help us learn how to play this game a little bit better. So, the first thing I did between this video and the last one is I upgraded my astronaut to level 2, my astronaut complex. And that just means that we can now perform EVAs to collect science during flight. EVAs. They're not EVAs, EVAs. And then I went to the mission control and I selected 2 new missions for us. Fly by the moon and haul the Flyby booster into orbit. And the one thing I want to talk about with our missions here, that we have our contracts, is that you want to make sure the contracts you select are ones that make sense for you. So things that are not going to be particularly helpful in the early game are these focused observational surveys, where you have to fly your ship basically to a specific point and then do a survey of some sort. The reason for that is, without a plane, it can be hard to do. Without a well-managed, well-steered plane, this is not such an easy thing. So you can decline those, and I don't think, no, there's not a penalty for that. That helps you get new contracts if you don't like any of them, but we don't really need to. This is one we're going to want to pick up in a little bit, but right now we have Fly by the Moon and haul the Flyby booster into space. So the other thing we need to upgrade is our tracking station, because we need to make sure that we can see our intercept with the Mun. So we're going to upgrade the tracking station. It is possible to intercept it without doing this, but it's not going to make your life very easy. So I've upgraded both of these facilities and the launch pad so far. So now we're going to go to the VAB and send our rocket up. The rocket we're using here is really not that different from the ones we've launched up so far. It is the exact same science core unit, except for the fact that I'm now able to add in my thermometers. And thermometers I'm going to put on the outside so that I can click on them easily during our launch and flight. Let's make sure those are not blocking. No. Oh, and that's right. I'm going to drop them on a propeller just because it's going to make our delta V a little bit better. Alright, so then I have a one of the 400 tanks and then a little Terrier engine. And this Terrier engine is just going to serve to provide us with a little more fuel and a better ISP, so it's just more efficient in the space, outside of an atmosphere. And that just means that our rocket is going to be able to go a little farther on this engine, which is needed to get somewhere farther like the Mun. And then I put on the 3 backs that are radially attached. We have the fins, and we have the swivel engine on bottom. It's the exact same setup as before. And now we are over on parts because I added a few little things. So I'm going to pull out the mysterious goo and just put one of those in there. And I'm going to just put one thermometer in. And we're just going to put one battery pack. There, that should satisfy them. 30 parts, perfect. We don't really have enough money to upgrade the part count, but with 30 we can do a lot. So this is going to be a Mun flyby ship. It's totally capable of doing it, so let's launch it. While I am doing this career series, I'm going to try to put out a video at least once a week. Right now we're going to do a few more. I'm a student, a grad student, so once I have more time and summer starts, I will be able to crank out more than that, I hope. Fire it up. If you have a request for something you want to see done, let me know. I will try to get to everybody's. Now that we have a level 1 pilot in Jebediah Kerbal, we can actually just lock him on the prograde marker, and he'll basically fly the ship once we've tilted it into a stable orbit. Last time I tried to film this video before, and I blew it up really bad. Wrong button. So hopefully we won't do that. Let's go over a fun little pro tip. Down here you have your stage button, and it shows green, which means that I am actively staging at this point. So right now it's green. It means we're actively staging new. If I hit the spacebar now, it's going to fire off the next stage. But if I don't want that to happen, let's say because the next stage decouples my engine, I can hit Alt-L, and it turns that light red. And what that means is I can sit here hitting spacebar all day. It's not going to decouple that engine. That's really helpful if you're doing things at a higher level of the game, like a sky crane or something. This is a much better trajectory than our first launch to orbit. This is going to give us a much better chance of making it. Much more efficient flight pattern because our apoapsis is further out. We have a more horizontal trajectory than a vertical one, which is what you want. Alright, let's warp. Actually, let's grab our science from the upper atmosphere, our temperature. One thing that's like hard to do in career mode is you have to remember what science you've gotten in different areas and which ones you haven't. So like we've never taken science from the upper atmosphere, so now we have to do that. It's not like a crisis, but it is something that you have to actively remember when you play career mode. And I guess the same is true for science mode, although I think it's more pronounced in career. So now we are just going to slowly get our orbital burn. I'm just burning to the horizon now. Yeah, I'm going to turn up the warp just a little bit so you don't have to sit here watching me burn for too long. So that tank is out of fuel, so we're going to switch to next and fire it off, and then in just a second we should be orbital. I'm actually going to warp ahead to the apoapsis because last time we had some struggles here. There is the apoapsis. We are in orbit once it hits 70. This is not a perfect orbit. It's more efficient to have them lined up perfectly, but I don't care enough right now to do that. I will go over how to do that once we get to docking and stuff, where it matters a little bit more that your orbits are more or less circular, but for now it's not a big deal. Alright, so it's time to do our first spacewalk, and we're going to go over a few little things with how I do that to make sure we are successful. So we're going to take the EVA report. Then what we want to do is remove the science from that thermometer so that we can do another thermometer test. So you steer with ASD and WASD, and the camera modes for this has always been weird to me. There we go. You're gonna have to use the arrows to angle your camera. There we go. So I have removed the data, which means that now the thermometer is reset. You can't do that with every piece without an engineer, although an engineer can. There we go. If you have not played before on the EVA, you do want... This is not as easy as it looks to do if you have never done it before. It takes a fair amount of practice to get really good at EVA-ing and not flying past the ship. There we go. Cool. So now I can do a new temperature scan from the space in your Kerbal. We'll close this, and we will get ready to set up ourselves to go to the Mun. When we're flying to the Mun, what we want to do is there's the Mun. We can't set... Oh, we can set it as a target. Great. So we'll set it as a target. And then we want to basically set ourselves up so that when the Mun is over the horizon, that's where we're going to perform our burn. So I'm just looking, and it's right around our apoapsis, which is where we want it to be. So when we get to the apoapsis, we're going to burn to prograde. So I'm going to turn off our electricity because we don't have a lot. Actually, I'm just going to turn off one of them, and then we will warp to Parapsis. And then we will perform our burn so that we can come in contact with the Mun. The target is this little pink dot with the open circle around it. And when that's at the prograde marker, that's where we want to burn. And it should be just about at our Parapsis, which is ideal for the most efficient burn. You want to perform all your burns at the orbital body. So now our Parapsis is slowly going to increase, and in a few moments we should see a intercept appear. So I'm going to turn that up to ×4 warp so that we can shoot out a little faster. But when you do that, you have to be careful because the further out your Parapsis is, the faster it goes. And now our little target marker is appearing, so we should see an intercept in 3, 2, 1. Oh, beautiful. And yeah, that's going to be perfect. At this point, I like to focus my view on the Mun and just make sure that we're not flying so close to it that we're going to blow up. But we're not. That's like a beautiful altitude for us to be at. So now we're going to go back to our vessel. We're going to make sure that we save some electricity because this engine does not charge it. So we're going to close those shut down that electricity, and we're going to warp to about halfway up our burn. Halfway through our flight to we're about, well, I don't know, right about there. We still want to be in Kerbal's influence because this is another high over Kerbin. It's a new biome, so we can collect new signs from there. We're going to open this up, and we don't need the mysterious goo yet, but we do want to get the thermometer. Yeah. And if your ship is spinning completely out of control and you can't figure out how to stop it, the best advice I have is to just do a quick warp, and that warp will basically lock it in place. So now we're going to go grab the thermometer once more. The temperature once more because we want to get as much science out of these missions as possible. There we go, and let's get back on board. One really helpful tip for evaing is that the space button boosts you towards your target. So like right now I'm spinning out of control. If I hit the space button, I will boost back towards the whatever I'm looking at, you'll boost at when you hit the space button. And it will rotate you much faster than you can do it yourself. There we go. And that's great. That temperature scan has been added, and now we're going to just basically warp until we switch targets. So we are officially on a orbit of the Mun. We can see it closing in on us a little bit, and there we go. We cash in on our 88,000 fund reward for getting in an orbit of the Mun. But more importantly, now we can get our science reward as well. So 50 from there. It's going to be a lot, I think. I hope. This is indeed one of the earliest missions NASA sent, was to do a Mun flyby. Not a Mun flyby, but a lunar flyby, because they needed to prove the concepts, you know, to prove that they could do it. So, and we'll do a crew report. Great. So now I have 10 science from that, and we have a lot of science we've added. We'll close the service bays, and we're gonna let ourselves. We're gonna adjust our orbit a little bit. So the way we do this is we're going to burn. In this case, we're going to have to do a little bit of trial and error. So I'm just going to burn in different ways and kind of see how it affects my return flight. Because I want to get on a trajectory where we are, perhaps this is just up high. You see how it's at 46 here? That means that when we re-enter the orbit of Kerbal, we're not going to have to burn at all. We're just going to get a free landing, which is what we want in this case. So let me freeze one of those, and I'm going to let us get on real close to the mun. And we're going to see if this still counts as high over, because if it doesn't, then we're going to get more science. No, it's still high over though. If I was really being careful, I would have flown close enough to get a near the mun science as well, but this is going to be a lot. So between this and the next video, I will probably do a flyby of Mimus the exact same way. I'm not going to stop you all to have you watch that or record it, because it's pretty much going to be identical. So there's not much point to me making a new version of that. You can do flybys of Mimus really quick as well. At this point, you don't need any more science than... Yeah, I don't need much more delta V or anything to do that exact same mission again. So now we're just going to warp ourselves around, and it's going to take some time. And right now, because we are locking our view on the mun, we're flying around that. So I'll just double click on Kerbal so that we get... There we go. And we should be pretty much back on target. Let's get over to retrograde and lock. We might have even had enough fuel to go to Mimus here, although I don't want to get so cocky as to assume that. Alright, close it up. And just like before, notice that our orbital speed though is much higher because we're coming in from a much higher orbit, so we're going to have to really kill it the way we know how. So I'm just going to burn right now, retrograde. We're going to burn all our liquid fuel here to try and get this orbit as low as possible. Notice our apoapsis is really falling fast. The closer your burn is to the gravity, to the center basically of the target you're orbiting, the more influence each little maneuver will have on your orbit. So if I were to perform the same burn way out here, it would not affect the orbit very much at all. But from this close, it makes a big difference. And we are burning up. So let's hit the space bar so that our heat shield is able to absorb that. And there's the little mun. We should be landing pretty shortly. I'll turn on the boost for a second, but not too long. It's going to be happening. We're lucky we're going to get to see our debris explode behind us in just a second. I hope we don't collide. Once again, thank you all for watching. This is a mun flyby mission. We will do the next video in a few minutes, but for now, I hope you enjoyed it. I'll send up the next video in a little bit. I've been having fun making these. Please leave your comments, your thoughts, anything really that you want me to know. Let me hear from you, and I appreciate everybody watching. We'll keep these coming to you, and if you have any requests, ask away. We should be landing pretty soon. That burn actually made a big difference, because right there you see the bright red lines show us that we're about to overheat these parts. So we want to make sure we slow down pretty quick here. Come on, Jeb. There you go. Ooh, something blew off on us. What was it? Oh no, we lost the, that was a weird little glitch. Look at that. Hey. The, arbulator, I don't know if it's, oh, it's not attached. So the, Science Junior blew up on us, but the arbulator stayed in place. It's still connected, and we've run out of fuel. Why is that? That is like the weirdest glitch ever. Let's see, is it going to let me deploy these manually, or am I going to have to cheat? Look at that. Our, we came in too hot and split the ship right down the middle there. That's really funny to me. That is the joy of career mode. Jebediah is going to be on a, oh, there we go. It let me deploy the parachute by clicking on it. So, Jebediah is going to make it. Short a little science, sure, but he's going to make it. And that's why it's really important to move that, those, science pieces to the crew hatch as you go, because we're going to lose some of the stuff from the MUN, from that little explosion there. I guess we were coming in just a touch too hot. I'm actually pretty surprised that that blew up there. I was not expecting that. And look how these parts are still kind of connected, although they look like they've been blown up. This is an interesting little glitch for 1.1. So I don't have control over this. I can't get inside of it or anything. Well, Jebediah is fine, he says. He'll be survived. He'll survive the mission in one piece. And there we go. Once the parachute went off, I lost that. Although I wonder if it blew up on impact or not. Oh, well, that is a shame. We're going to lose a lot of science from the mission. I'm going to have to relaunch it and land the Science Junior. What a weird little fluke. Thanks again for watching. I will do some investigation on how that blew up there at the very end, but let's just recover the vessel anyways and see if we can do a little research and figure out what happened there. Alright, so here's our recovery. We lost a lot of science there for blowing the, when that exploded, but we still made 72, which is a lot, and we have a little bit from the MUN, so we'll get more in a second from there. Our part recovery is not very good because we, lost so many parts at the very end, but we're still doing alright. We have 136. Let's do our research and development upgrade, and then we will go from there. At this point, what makes sense? Right, I'm going to do electrics, because I want to get these photo panels, the solar panels, so that we can start acquiring some science from different points in space. And then I'm going to do flight control as well, because I want to get the winglets and stuff. Alright. Well, this is Brendan, Kerbal Man, signing off. We'll get part 3 filmed pretty quick and up as well. I hope you enjoy the videos. I've had a lot of fun making them. Let me know if you have any questions or comments. Thanks. Have fun playing Kerbal Space Program. I never know how to end these.